It's always good to hear that music. That means it's time to get the Wednesday Helping Seniors of Brevard program underway. Let's go ahead and introduce the host of the show and the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here is none other than Kerry Fink. Good afternoon, Kerry.
Hello, John Harper. It is always a pleasure to be on the radio with you Wednesdays as we gather around lunchtime on 90.3 FM WEJF, and also hello to those of you listening to us online at wejf.net, and also special welcome to those who now catch us as a podcast, because we have achieved, what do they say, the 21st century in technology. You can find us on Apple, iTunes, Amazon Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get a podcast. You just look for Helping Seniors Radio. So on behalf of our president and founder, Joe Steckler, and our operations director, Nancy Deerdorf, I'm Kerry Fink, and I have the privilege of speaking with a longtime friend of the Helping Seniors organization. He goes way back with Joe. He helped Joe get onto TV. But more importantly, and why it's applicable for us today, is the fact that he is literally one of the most sought after experts when it comes to periodontal disease and things of dentistry. You know him. You've probably seen the publications. Occasionally you'll get one in the mailbox, but for sure you've seen them as you come out of a Publix grocery store or something. It's always about Solid Bite Dental, and I'm talking about none other than the founder of that, Dr. Lee Sheldon. How are you today, Dr. Sheldon?
Hey, Kerry, I'm doing great. How about you?
It's good. You know, I had the privilege of doing television. Well, not only with you, it's always a pleasure. You know, we do Helping Seniors TV in addition to Helping Seniors Radio. We're actually broadcast 3 times a day on Space Coast Government TV. And you and I had the privilege of sitting down and doing a TV show recently, but it was also a real pleasure to sit down with your son, Dr. Matt Sheldon, who's the general dentist in the practice. And we did a great show together on cosmetic dentistry. And I learned a whole lot. I learned it wasn't nearly as expensive in certain ways of looking at things as maybe I had afraid believed, you know?
You know, it doesn't have to be. I mean, yes, there are the expensive procedures, and the expensive procedures have, as I'm sure you talked about on TV, certainly have their advantages. There is provided it's being done well, there is a reason for a higher expense, or there's a reason for a lower expense. And I'm sure what Matthew brought out to you is the fact that there's a certain amount of artistry that is present in all of us. And those of us who know how to sculpt a tooth can very well create something without going through laboratory procedures. And of course, if you can do it without laboratory procedures, then you can reduce the expense considerably.
Yeah, I really thought it was fascinating, because I was asking him, I said, you know, I see all these, you see all these commercials on TV, and they always make things look like, oh, this is all you need to do. and usually if you ever get one of those things that they sell you on TV, oftentimes you get it home, you get it out of the package, and it really doesn't do the thing that you hoped it would do anyway. But it was really encouraging to hear him talk about the things that you were able to do professionally at a higher level, but really without so much expense. And it was a fascinating program. So if you're just now tuning in, I want to encourage you and remind you that everything we do with Helping Seniors, I don't care if we're talking about one of the radio shows, if we're talking about the TV shows, or even when we publish in Senior Scene magazine every month, we archive everything. Because what we find out a lot of times, somebody will tune into the radio, they'll say, wow, this is a great topic. I wish my friend Marge could hear what they're talking about today. And so the great thing is you can share that, because you'll find it right there at helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. We always post these out on our Facebook page, Helping Seniors of Brevard, and we do the same actually on our YouTube channel, Helping Seniors of Brevard. So a lot of times we'll find somebody hears something, they want to share it with somebody, so it's a great way to do it. Or oftentimes maybe they're not thinking about this at the moment, but there's a certain point of time and then they start Google searching, and it's great to see those shows come up. And so, Dr. Sheldon, it reminded me that last month we were on the radio and we were talking about a topic called deep cleaning. And your article actually just came out at the beginning of July. in Senior Scene magazine on that same topic. And, I was thinking about it. It was really a great show. We had the opportunity talking together to ask a lot of questions, because usually when we're in the dentist chair, Dr. Sheldon, we've got all this stuff in our mouth, and it's not really always the easiest time to ask a question. So it was great. It was great to get that insight. And I thought that's probably a good lead in for the topic that we're going to talk about today, because deep cleaning somehow it seems appropriate, but it also seems maybe a little bit scary. And so what a great topic for us to talk about today is fear keeping you away from the dental office. And I thought, what a great topic, because so many of us have our own personal stories to share. But you must see it every day, Dr. Sheldon.
And unfortunately, we do. It's something that I didn't realize until we became a full-service practice, where we were seeing the patients first, as opposed to being referred. Because, as you know, we are a specialty practice, is a periodontal practice. You would be referred. The patient would go to the general dentist first, then be referred to us. But when I started seeing going direct to patient, there were a lot of patients who came to us. It was one of the big. It was one of the most significant factors, Kerry. I saw a lot of patients that I never would have seen otherwise. They said, "All right, whatever it was." They saw the advertising and they'd already heard of me or whatever it was, and they didn't realize they'd come in to see us directly. And now they're seeing us directly. And these are people who had been away from dental care 5, 10, 15 years, even longer, because of fear, because something happened to them. Now, some of us we all have intrinsic fears anyway. I understand that we carry some fear with us. But there were a number of people who came in because of a bad dental experience, and now they had nothing left. They had the bad dental experience, and then their teeth kept on deteriorating, and they're holding their hands in front of their mouths, and they lose back teeth. They may be able to be put to sleep for 1 or 2 extractions or something like that. But it just kept on getting worse and worse and worse until they had no choice. They had pain. They couldn't smile. They couldn't keep a job, or they couldn't get a job because their teeth looked the way they did. They couldn't get relationships, whatever it was. And finally, they say, "All right, I've got to do something." And they show up in our office. It was a new patient for me. And because, not that we hadn't seen fearful patients in the past, we had, but to see so many, it was quite revealing, and it put us to the test. What can we do in order to be able to give that person a successful result, not just a successful dental result, but make that person comfortable enough that he or she felt good about coming into the dental office without all of the sedation tools that we have. And that's actually some of the most satisfying moments that I've had in my career, when we take somebody who is literally shaking, who cringes to make that first phone call to our office, or once they get to the office, they can barely hang on to the door handle in order to be able to come into the reception room. Get those people, so they come in and they're smiling and they're happy and they're glad to be here, and they're normal again, at least in relationship to dental care. So that's the bad side and the good side, and that's the summary we're going to talk about today.
Well, I was thinking about it. So many people, I guess there's a lot of different reasons why we may be fearful thinking about the dentist. Number one is, I don't know. We were talking before the show. A lot of us had different experiences, and technology has come such a far away. But I guess maybe at some point, maybe we experienced pain. Most of us are afraid of a dental drill or things like that. I guess another aspect, maybe I'm just thinking out loud, is maybe we feel intimidated, because usually when we show up at the dentist, there is some sort of a lecture about this is how we can take care of our teeth better. Right. And so then we always leave feeling like, wow, man, I'm falling short on all this stuff. And maybe we're just embarrassed a lot of time. Maybe we don't, maybe it's like, oh, I should have done something about this earlier. Now I'm embarrassed that I've let it go this far. I guess you see all of that.
I do, and I think we go back to when you had my son on helping seniors TV, and they actually covered that. Matthew was a guest on one of the Orlando radio stations. See, my son, I'm so proud of my son. Look, he's able to do it. He's able to talk about it too. That's what came up. Now, this was dedicated to a younger group of people. This radio station, probably, they're broadcasting to people in their 20s, let's say 20 to 40 age group, and so it's a different group. But it was the same overlying theme, and that was, if you've let go of your teeth, should you be embarrassed to see the dentist, and the dentist is going to make you seem more embarrassed? And the answer is, of course not. You have a problem, you're coming in, we're going to help you with the problem, and so you don't have to be embarrassed to see the dentist, because that's what the dentist is there to do. The dentist is there to help, not to call you names, but to help and to make you whole again. So it can be a good experience. But then if we talk about the embarrassment part about it, the embarrassment part about it very much has to do when you've reached some kind of a critical period in your life. And the critical period in your life, as we referred to earlier, is when there's some kind of an event or some kind of a change in your life, in your life, where you've lost a job or lost a relationship, and now you got to get back into circulation, and now you can't get back into circulation, you can't interview for the job because you're embarrassed about your teeth. That becomes a real tough thing. And then it's not only can we help, because we always can, but then is how quickly can you help? How quickly can you get me out of this so I can get back into whatever change we need to make? So how can I get back into circulation? How can I date? How can I interview? All of those kinds of things, it becomes more critical. And so literally we've got to get that patient from a person who is fearful, a person who's embarrassed, and move them forward as quickly as possible to a position where they can move forward. And sometimes you can't do that, but very often you can. Sometimes you've got to take a lot of time to get there, but very often there are ways in which you can temporarily be restored so you look good, and while you're in temporaries, we can start to prepare you for the permanent work, and so you can be on a path to get there without having to fully get there all at one time.
Well, and I was thinking about that because as I was just thinking about the experience that you get at your office in particular, which is one I can talk about because I've we're patients there, but there is, I guess I would call it like a no judgment zone. You walk in and everybody is actually very kind and very positive and trying to help you get where you're trying to go, as opposed to, maybe chiding you because you didn't, as a kids, we were always told, well, you got to brush more, you got to floss more. And probably at that time we weren't really ready to receive that message fully. And then, as we talked about earlier too, as you go through life, maybe you run into a dentist who isn't, I hate to say it, isn't really at the top of their game, and they leave you either in pain or without the answers you were hoping for. I was going to ask you a question about your advertising, because I know you guys market. We've talked about this so many times. You do a lot of work with dental implants, but you also do a lot of work saving teeth. But we were talking about this. You had a realization when you started doing the advertising. What exactly was that all about?
Yeah, I mean, the realization was really that one of these fearful people that had stayed away from the dentist. I didn't realize how many people were just so afraid of dentistry that they would stay away for that long a period of time. And of course, the longer you stay away from dentistry in a disease situation, the worse your teeth are going to be. And so with the referred patient, those people were in the system. You're in the system, good, you're being taken care of, there are some changes that are going on, fine, go see the periodontist, let the periodontist do what do what we need to do in order to be able to get you periodontally healthy and then get back to the general dentist. But these people were people who had been totally let go and weren't willing to see the dentist, and so they had deteriorated so much. They weren't part of the dental system. We were getting them back into the dental system, if you will. And it just required an awful lot more skill in every part of our practice. You know, we're a consulting practice and we consult with other practices all over the country. And with the most important part of that particular consulting has nothing to do with the dentistry, has nothing to do with the dentist. You know what it has to do with?
What's that?
The person who's answering the phone. At the moment that phone is answered, that person is representing me. Yeah. And that person either does that with skill and with compassion, or that person thinks, well, anybody knows how to answer the phone. Let's just answer the phone. These days, by the way, this isn't part of our prepared script, is it? This isn't part of the article that's going to be in Senior Scene Magazine in August, is it? I haven't prepared you for this one at all. So go with it, Kerry, okay?
Sure.
You and I have done this for a long time now, so just go with it. So these days, from a business standpoint, we're discovered through the advertising that we do, okay? So it's the magazine, and it's the website, and it's the Google advertising and all that kind of stuff. We know when this happens for us, and of course to the dentists that we're consulting with around the country, those people are looking, and they're looking at a number of different websites. They happen to call us. We have one good shot to be able to schedule that patient. If not, the patient is just going to click on the next website and find a person who is compassionate over the phone, and then will decide to schedule. You know, very often patients are calling and they have this big coat of armor on, and they're not really calling for an appointment. They're calling for information. You know, information in quotes. I've got two quotes. I got the left and right quote in my hands right now.
Right.
They're not calling for information. They're calling to interview our phone person and find out if our phone person is nice. Because if our phone person is nice, well, maybe the dentist will be nice too. And phone training is actually a big part of what we teach our dentist clients in our consulting group.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, I really wanted to kind of piggyback on what you were just saying, because I think about that in our own experience as helping seniors in Brevard. You know, we're a 501c3 charity that Joe Steckler, our president and founder, started in 2011. So now we're in 11, we're now in our 11th or 12th year, depending on how you count it, of service to the community. And our main product, our main thing that we do in the community is we have our Helping Seniors information line. It's that free call to 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770. And it's really interesting to hear the feedback we get, because Nancy Deerdorf, who manages that phone line, takes the vast majority of the calls. She's got 33 years registered nurse experience, and she has run one of the largest area home health agencies, and so it's a real blessing for us to have her taking her time and helping those callers in. But universally, what I hear when I get the feedback from people who've called our Helping Seniors info line is they say, number one, I can't believe I got a real person. Number two, I can't believe I got a friendly person. And number three, I can't believe I got a knowledgeable person who really can think of a way to try to help me through this. And I think that's kind of mirroring what you're saying that you really look for when you guys are talking to people the first time on the phone.
It absolutely is. And it's the phone answering position is considered to be the area where we don't need to train somebody. Actually, we do need to train somebody. Now, just because you get a bad phone answer, it doesn't mean you're going to have a bad dentist on the other end. So I'm not going to say don't make the appointment there. But, you particularly as a fearful, I'm not talking about you personally, obviously, but the listener out there who is that fearful person is looking for warm, fuzzy, and actually knowledge as well. Before that person makes a decision to make an appointment with us. So, in our office, we have Jennifer, who's been with us for 11, 12 years. And actually on our director of dentistry.com, which is our consulting group, the Institute for Dental Specialists, Jennifer actually has lessons on how to answer the phone. So
wow,
yeah, we do that. But when we're training new personnel, we have 4, and then a longtime fill-in who's been with us for many, many years. So we have 5 people who answer the phone at the front desk. Don't you bet that Danielle, our office manager, is concentrating on listening to what occurs and training that person to be able to be a better phone answer. We certainly have checklists of items that need to be covered. Every one of our staff members have a training program, an internal training program, in order to be able to get themselves to the point where they do have enough knowledge, and Danielle checks them to make sure that, in fact, they've fulfilled the training program. And not only that, but my daughter-in-law is listening to every call that comes in to make sure the calls are handled well. So believe me, we're really concentrating on that part of it. That part of the practice a great deal.
Yeah, well, it kind of comes back to, because I was thinking about, our topic today. We're talking with Dr. Lee Sheldon, who's noted area periodontist with Sheldon Furtado, often referred to as Solid Bite Dental. And, we were talking about why people are afraid, or actually technically the title is fear keeping you away from the dentist's office. But we are talking about the fearful patient. And so we were talking a little bit about this phone thing because, I guess it takes us a lot of courage if we're a little bit afraid of this whole process anyway. It probably took us a great deal of courage to dial the phone and say, okay, this is a big step for me. And boy, if you got somebody that wasn't really helpful to you, it would probably make you shut down and say, I'll try this another time. Yeah. But you said a fearful patient often has major needs. How do they finally get to the point like, okay, it's time, I got to do this?
I think it's pain, swelling, and embarrassment. I think that's it. And one of those 3 things will get the person in there. Sometimes, though, it's the spouse. The spouse will say, you've got to do something about your teeth.
Right. I'm tired of hearing you complain about it. Let's fix it.
or I'm tired of looking at you or smelling you.
Wow. Yeah.
Let's get really gross on this. This is what it is. By the way, I don't know about other offices. I want the spouse there during the examination. Mm-hmm. I want I want all the decision makers there because I want them to see the experience. I want them to understand what I'm saying. And, when they're hearing it from my staff and from myself firsthand, that's a whole different approach than if we say you need this and then the person comes back and now explains it to the husband or wife. Everything is lost in the translation. So, right. In fact, the only thing they talk about is how much will it cost. So, no, we need interested parties in there. And by the way, I've had 2 or 3 or 4 interested parties. Sometimes it becomes more of a circus when we do that, but I've had more than one interested party in there along with the patient, so they could have the full understanding. Because don't forget, and I know you've said this to our listening audience a lot. It's a 2-hour experience. Well, you've got it's a 2 hours. There's a reason for those 2 hours. We're not padding that time. Believe me.
No.
You need that time for evaluation. You need that time to understand the different options, the expensive options, the cheaper options, whatever it is. You need that time to be able to weigh that in order to be able to determine what is going to be best for you. So
all of this is so good. We're going to continue the conversation on the other side of our mid-show break. We're talking with Dr. Lee Sheldon, Solid Bite Dental. Don't go away because we're talking about fear keeping you away from the dentist office. Let's get over that one.
Always good to hear that music as we get the second half of Helping Seniors of Brevard underway for this Wednesday. Kerry Fink is your host. I'm John Harper. Dr. Lee Sheldon is Kerry's special guest. And Kerry, let's get back to that very interesting and informative conversation you were having with Dr. Lee Sheldon.
Thank you, John Harper, and thank you, listener, for coming back for the second half of Helping Seniors Radio. We gather every Wednesday, 12 noon to 1 p.m. right here on 90.3 FM WEJF. And as John Harper was saying, we're talking with Dr. Lee Sheldon, longtime friend of the Helping Seniors organization. In fact, he predates Helping Seniors because he was very instrumental in helping Joe Steckler, our president and founder, when Joe was busy getting the Joe's Clubs built, building up Brevard Alzheimer's. And I love to tell the story on Joe. Joe is 88, going on 89, and he's a guy who just can't retire. His last command in the Navy, he retired as a captain. His last command was the Naval Retirement Home there in Gulfport, and he and his wife Terry, they retired to Satellite Beach to enjoy the sun. And what does Joe do? He can't stay retired, so he goes to work helping people, helping seniors, and he starts up Brevard Alzheimer's, gets all that rolling. I think the story goes, Dr. Lee Sheldon, that you helped him at the time. You were doing a TV show, and you saw what he was trying to do, and you got him into television. And so for years and years, he hosted radio and TV and still does guest segments quite often with us, too.
Yeah, Joe's a natural. He was just a natural right from the beginning. You know, what you see on the air and what you experience in person is exactly the same person.
That's right.
It was great. So when Joe came on, it was a segment, and we were only doing 8 minutes. It was a half-hour TV show at that time, and so we were doing three 8-minute segments with commercial time in between, and there was Joe. Just do it.
And Joe still charges hard. You find his articles. He's busy authoring articles for Hometown News, for Aldea Today, Ebony News Today, Barefoot Tattler, Senior Scene Magazine. So there is no moss growing under Joe in terms of the things that he does on behalf of seniors. But my point about this was, Dr. Sheldon, you have really been a major force and a major help in all of this, and we're talking today on our topic of radio is fear keeping you from the dental office. And I wanted to talk down just for a minute about, because as a charity, we can't go any place without fundraising. If you don't help us do what we do, we just stop. There's no alternative. There's no other bank to go to. It's literally the people in the community who keep helping seniors moving forward. And so we do that a number of different ways. Of course, we have our car raffle. Dr. Sheldon, you're very familiar with that. That's our main fundraiser every year. Joe has been friends with AJ Hires of the car dealerships, and I think together they were talking about having raffled off some 30-plus cars over the years between all the organizations. I know this is our 6th annual car raffle for the Helping Seniors organization, and so when you buy a ticket, not only are you supporting the work of Helping Seniors of Brevard, you are actually also maybe going to win a cool car, because the shtick is you get to pick. The winner gets to choose. October 29th, when we pull that winning ticket at the American Muscle Car Museum, if we pull your ticket, you have a big decision to make. Do you want keys to a brand new Chevrolet Camaro? Do you want it to a brand new Dodge Challenger? Do you want it to a Kia Sportage? Or I think, Dr. Sheldon, you had actually talked a lot about the Mazda Miata convertible.
I'll take it.
So when you buy a ticket, you do 3 things. Number 1, you're supporting the work of Helping Seniors because your donation is making it possible for us to go forward. You could win keys to a new car, but I guarantee you, you're a winner. You don't have to be present to win, but if you're in town, you're invited to the greatest automotive evening that exists here in Brevard County, because Mark Pylock, who is the owner of, I just found out today, I didn't know this, 400 cars now in his collection. I used to joke he had one for every day of the year, but I guess now he has to drive 2 of them every day just to get through them in a year. And so it's unbelievable, his collection of cars, and it's his private garage. It's like the size of 2 aircraft hangars. And we are blessed because he allows us to have our grand drawing there, and has ever since he's opened it up there. So everybody gets to come in, see this $100 million worth plus $1 million worth of cars that he's got, enjoy that whole atmosphere. Maybe go home with a brand new car, and certainly have a great time because they provide all the beer, wine, snacks, everything. It's just a great evening. How do you get a ticket? You got to be in it to win it. You buy one ticket for $25, 5 tickets for a $100 donation. How can you get them? You can go to helpingseniors.carraffle.com. You can give Nancy a call, 321-473-7770. Or I have another really good idea, Dr. Sheldon, because your office has these raffle car tickets too.
That's right, and we're right down the street from the museum. So
you're right there on Sun Road. But that is my lead-in actually to the other fundraiser I wanted us to talk about for just a moment, because it's very applicable to our topic for the radio show today: is fear keeping you away from the dental office. Maybe you're thinking it's the high cost of a dental visit. This is the perfect solution, because this is really a win-win-win, Dr. Sheldon. Your Solid Bite Gives Back program, it helps us as a charity, but it helps the patient really understand what's going on in a very non-invasive, non-pressured, just here's the real deal kind of thing. But it also helps you as the medical practitioner to know exactly where that patient is and what options of treatment really make the most sense. Can you talk about the Solid Bite for a minute?
Sure, it's true, because years ago, I decided that I could only give one kind of examination. It's the complete examination. I couldn't do a quick examination. Number one, there are too many things going on, too many interacting parts, and I've got to be able to do a complete examination, even to tell a person whether it's worthwhile treating a single tooth, because many people have a problem with a single tooth. Well, can you treat that? The answer is, yeah, we probably can, but is it worth it in the context of everything? And the answer is, I don't know. And so I've got to do a full examination in order to be able to accomplish that. So for people who are coming to our office, it isn't a limited examination. We don't have one. We have a full examination. Doesn't mean you're going to need a lot of treatment. I have people coming in for a full examination every week who all they need is a cleaning, or sometimes they don't even need that. But I only feel comfortable if I've done a full evaluation on you, which is the correct x-rays, the correct dental examination, a 27-point examination, and then to be able to give you options if you need treatment. So years ago, for 2 hours experience, it was just going to cost way too much to do it. So I said, all right, let's do it differently. Let's make sure that examination is attached to something else that's valuable to the potential patient, and that's charity. And Helping Seniors of Brevard County is a great charity. So if you write a check for $50 to Helping Seniors of Brevard County and just bring it with you to the dental office, then just give us the check. We'll mail out the check to Helping Seniors of Brevard County, and you'll get the incomplete examination, including all of the x-rays, at no charge.
Yeah, it's really an offer. Like I said, I love it because it's win-win-win. Everybody grows because of it. The Helping Seniors is able to keep going and growing. The patient is really getting a quality insight into what's going on and what the best ideas are to move forward successfully with it. And then you, as the doctors, are really getting the information you need to make the best possible case outcomes for the patient. And so that kind of reminds me, as we come back to our topic over and over, Dr. Sheldon, so I assume that non-pressured time of really interacting with the patient, where you explain and give them kind of like the full parameters of everything going on, that's probably a thing that makes somebody less fearful. But what are some of the things that you do in your practice that helps kind of reduce that level of stress or fear?
You have to approach the patient on the patient's own terms. I've had patients come into the office who weren't even willing to sit in the dental chair. So what do I do in that case? We go to my office, and we talk there, and let the person just interview me, or let's talk about the problem. Let's talk about the problem without having to be in the dental chair. I can tell you that for every patient that comes in, one of the doctors will call that patient before the patient ever comes in for the first time. So
Wow.
the person makes an appointment, yeah, we're calling and say, hey, I say, hi, I'm Dr. Lee Sheldon, just wanted to introduce myself, and I look forward to seeing you on whatever date it is. Tell me a little bit about what's going on. Of course, we already have some material that Jennifer has gleaned from the patient when she's made the appointment. So I can often repeat to the patient what we've already heard and let the person clarify that so that we can start the relationship before the person ever walks into the office. Some people say, I don't need that. And some people just thrive on it. They say, gee, thanks for calling me. And that means that when the person arrives, the relationship is already there. The patient already knows and has talked with me, or talked with Michelle, or talked with Matthew, and has had the experience of being with us. Then it's a matter of, what do we need in order to be able to get you comfortable? And I have 3 treatment coordinators who do the examinations and do the examinations with me and with the other doctors. And of course, they're used to fielding the questions and understanding some of the potential answers that they might get. So even before I ever arrive in the treatment room, they've already been educated or at least assessed by my assistants, who know what I would say and at least can come up with some possibilities of what I'll say. But let's assume then the person is going to go into treatment. What are the options there? Well, all 3 of us know how to give good examination, give good injections, okay? And I know you hear painful injection. There is a way of non-painful injection. There's a particular technique. It's a technique that I've taught Michelle, I've taught it to Matthew, and it works beautifully so that the injection doesn't have to be painful. But we also have different levels of sedation. So you can take some pills before you get here. We can give you intravenous sedation, and all of us are certified in intravenous sedation, or we have an anesthesiologist who comes in who can put you to sleep. So we want to make sure that every base is covered so that you can have that good first experience. And so whether it's just being nice to you or knowing how to give a good injection or sedating you, we have a way in which you can get your dental work done.
I was thinking, even as you're talking through that really that's part of the thing, is making you feel like you're not on your own. And I've noticed that with your entire team. Everybody is upbeat, and they're very always checking in on the patient. Do you have everything you need? Are you okay? And I guess that must be part of how you make it a point to work with patients and train the team that you work with to do the same, so that you're doing everything you can to make it actually a non-stressful and actually quite a pleasant experience, which is almost, I think for most of us, it's almost an oxymoron, a pleasant visit to the dentist. But you guys really do seem to work hard at that.
We do. We just got a review, a Google review today, and if it's okay with you, I'll read it to you.
Sure.
My visit was for my 12-year-old son, and it was my understanding they didn't have children in the office very often, and we don't. However, They were completely amazing with him as well as with me. It was one of the best experiences that I have had in a medical office. I would highly recommend this office to anyone who needs their services. My son came out of the door saying, "Man, they were really nice."
Wow.
No, we don't see children. We don't. But occasionally, we'll see a person and say, I've had a great experience. Can you see my son? Can you see my daughter? Well, for the most part, for kids, we think it's better for them to go to a pediatric dentist, because a pediatric dentist, just as we're specialists in gum disease and restoration of treatment, we have other specialists who are specialized in pediatric care, and they're geared towards that. But occasionally we get this opportunity, and I'm so happy that she shared that opportunity with everybody in Google.
Well, that was actually a question I was going to say, since we're sort of our topic. First of all, our guest is Dr. Lee Sheldon with Sheldon and Furtado, and also Solid Bite Dental right there on Sarno Road. And our topic we're talking about is fear keeping you away from the dental office. And I really do hope maybe some of the things that we've been talking through today are probably giving you a level of comfort and a reason to say, like, maybe I shouldn't be afraid. Or maybe it's not you. Maybe you're fine, but you're trying to talk your husband, your wife, or one of your kids or anybody into, you really ought to have that checked out. We're trying to move you past that. But it makes me think, Dr. Sheldon, do patients ever interview you before they're deciding to come in for a dental appointment? Is that something that people do, like if they're nervous?
Yes, they do. And of course, by our calling the patient before the patient ever walks in, then they have the opportunity to interview me there. But yes, I've had people say, I don't want to make an appointment. I only want to talk to him. And so they come in and we sit down in a neutral setting and we just talk about it. And then they make the decision as to whether they want to set up a separate appointment for the examination. So yeah, of course we do it.
Well, I was thinking, like, even as you're saying that, right? Oftentimes when we go into a medical situation or a dental situation, let's be honest, it's very intimidating for us because we know at a basic level is something doesn't feel right, it hurts, there's something we want to solve, and we don't know all the big words. Oftentimes, we all know you guys have been to school and you know all the big words that we don't know about these different conditions and things, but that's also intimidating because then we're a little bit afraid maybe we're going to be sounding stupid because we're trying to say, well, I don't know, it hurts over here, and we can't say the lateral or whatever and all that. But you guys really do go out of your way to break it down, because I always say, listen, as a patient, you are ultimately the customer. You need to ask the questions so that you feel okay about, everything. It has to do whether it's a medical appointment or a dental appointment. Am I saying that maybe the right way?
I think you are saying it the right way, and that's why, one of the biggest barriers that we have is the misunderstood word. Mr. Hubbard said that. L. Ron Hubbard said that, and it's true. And we don't want to have misunderstandings. We want the words to be understandable to you. And so where we may say one dental term, we're going to make sure our staff members are speaking in real English. And by the way, every once in a while we slip, and we don't mind if you tell us, if you ask us, what the heck did you just say? Can you put it in real English for us? So the answer is yes, of course. We're happy to. That's the reason for the 2-hour experience. The examination part of it for me takes about a half hour, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more, but it's understanding what the examination was all about and what my treatment plan was all about that comes from my trained team members. So, we have Laura, we have Joy, we have Jill, and that's what they do. That's what they do. And they translate what I say into real English, and sometimes, of course, into dollars and cents as well, in order to be able to give you an understanding as to what I think the real, effective, long-term treatment options are that you might have.
Yeah, no, everything you're saying makes so much sense. So again, we're talking with Dr. Lee Sheldon with Sheldon and Furtado and Solid Bite Dental. So why don't we take a moment and stop down? I'll bet you got a million stories, but talk to me about maybe this a case study where somebody came and said, I am so afraid of this, or maybe they didn't even want to share how afraid they were, but somehow they made their way in. How give us some cases.
Well, I'll give you one who, the first one that comes to mind, Kerry, and he was in his late 40s, and he had no dental care since he was a teenager. Typical experience that you and I were just talking about. Bad experience and stayed away. Mm-hmm. And so he finally came in, and his teeth were all rotten. Now, he had a night job. He was a night watchman where he didn't have to really encounter anybody. And so that way he could be in his house during the day and do his night watchman job at night. And that was it. That was his life. And finally he wanted to change his life. And unfortunately, in his case, there wasn't a tooth we could save. We had to extract all of his teeth. And we got into a dental implant phase. Actually, we had to phase this out because his income allowed him to do only a certain amount. He had to sell some things in order to be able to afford treatment. But when we got all done, there he is with a big smile on his face. He's smiling with the doctors. We have a picture of him. Picture is probably on our website. And he's in a relationship, he's dating. It's an experience like that can just change someone. Makes us feel really good that we're able to help him with that, and of course he feels really good about his life as well.
Well, I was going to say it's such a big thing, because what we really should do, at least I might hypothecate, is rather than going in being afraid of the process, really looking at it from the standpoint about, like, this could really, if this goes the right way, this is really going to improve the quality of my life.
It is. I think you kind of look at it and you say, all right, I've got to go through this process, and it's also going to cost a lot of money. Is it going to be worth it? And the answer for many is, well, it depends upon what value you place. But the different life-changing experiences that occur when you have good teeth versus something that's not so good, sometimes you can't even understand what life will be like for you until you actually have it done.
Yeah, I remember that, because we had attended, I guess you gave a seminar where you were really going into the ins and outs of different possibilities. You were showing like cases with dental implants and things like that. And I remember you had some before and after pictures, and you were talking about one case in particular where the person had such bad teeth that they were just, they had really put themselves, I guess, almost like at the back of the line in terms of socialization. They were working. Yeah, and then when they came through it, and you showed the before and after photos, and it was fantastic. You said it was like the person was really able to come out of that shell and be who they really were to start with.
Yeah, and that was good. I had another patient in the same lecture who had been married, and she wanted to get her teeth fixed, and the husband didn't want to pay for it, and so he said, if you want your teeth fixed, well, just get a denture. She said, I don't want a denture. Well, they got a divorce. He married somebody else who was younger, who had a nicer smile. So now she had some money, and she got the treatment done. Her old boyfriend from high school saw her on Facebook. The boyfriend was from California. Of course, she's here in Florida. They got together again. So you never know what's going to happen after you rejuvenate the smile. And of course, you know what the old boyfriend said, don't you?
What's that?
He said, that's the same smile I remember when you were in high school.
Oh, see that's amazing, and see that's the part that I don't know, Dr. Sheldon, if we put into practice or that we often think about enough, because like I said, we talk about being fearful walking into the dentist's office, and what we need to do is understand that you're gonna partner with us in a way that helps us. First of all, imagine possibilities maybe we can't even figure out ourselves, because we're not trained in this, and we just think, well, it's been this way, so it's going to have to be this way. And I think as we're talking about moving fear out of the way, all these different things are part of it, but there's so much that you guys do from the office side. You make good opportunities available. What can the patient do? Is there something else that you would say, hey, if you're a patient, you're concerned about this, you're worried about this, let me reassure you, you don't have to be, and here's some tips to come over it,
Yeah, I think it's important that we approach the patient on the level where the patient is willing to go. So, for example, let's assume that a person says, I don't have the money for dental implants. And the answer is, you will have money for dental implants later on. Let's start with a good-looking denture first and just move forward. And I've had plenty of people come in where they wanted dental implants, couldn't do that, and then were able to move forward and get the work done. In the meantime, the denture was a holding action for them.
Yeah, and so that's also why we talk a lot about in the helping seniors world. We say something like this. First of all, we call our message for the year "Getting Your Ducks in a Row," meaning that we want to help you develop an aging plan. So you look at things strategically, say, what is going to help me enjoy my life in my senior years? Joe has always been about that, about serious things and not so serious things. But the other kind of corollary to that, Dr. Sheldon, that we keep talking about, and may very well become our theme next year, is we call it, don't try this on your own. There's so many good experts who really know this journey, know the things that are possible. They're not there to simply grab at your wallet. They're there to find a solution that makes sense for you. And that's what I hear you talking about. You're willing to meet a patient where they're at, explore, what their resources are, what's possible for them to do, and then craft something that's going to really help move them forward.
It's true, and you don't know until you've discovered for yourself what, and it doesn't just have to be us. There are lots of dentists who can help, but until you have that conversation with the person who's been doing it and has been doing it every day, you really don't know. Some people suppose certain things. So I can't tell you how many people who have supposed that they need all their teeth out and have dental implants, and they need dental implants when they don't. I mean, there's so many things that we think until we actually get the evaluation done and find out, oh, okay, maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
So, Dr. Sheldon, we've talked about a lot of different things. One of the things we haven't done is if somebody's been intrigued and says, okay, I'm ready to face my fear and take a step forward, or maybe they're not even afraid. They've just been intrigued about, hey, maybe my life could be a whole lot better if I would just explore some options. And maybe I just want to do something as simple as pick up my Helping Seniors car raffle tickets. How do they get in touch with you?
Just give us a call at 321-259-8000, 321-259-8000, and we will help you get started.
Yeah, and again, Dr. Lee Sheldon with SolidBite. You have a great website too. Is it solidbite.com?
Solidbite.com. Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of the things that we're talking about, you'll be able to find there. Well, thank you, Dr. Sheldon, for joining us today and sharing some good thoughts about not being afraid at the dentist's office. And I hope, listener, for you, this has been helpful, because I think it applies not only to dental situations, but possibly to medical as well. And I hope some of the things that we shared today are going to be helpful to you. And I also want to encourage you as we close out right here for the Helping Seniors radio show every Wednesday. And in the meanwhile, your assignment, should you choose, is to pick up your Helping Seniors car raffle tickets at helpingseniors.carraffle.com, or give us a call at 321-473-7770. Or, like we've been talking about, feel free to pop by Dr. Lee Sheldon's office, because they got tickets right there. You can pick them up there at the front desk as well. So on behalf of Joe Steckler, our president and founder, and Nancy Deerdorf, our operations director, and the whole team, we'll see you next week. Thanks again.